The verdict is now being read.
History in the making.
Guilty on all counts. This jury in New York City, a jury of his peers, finding the former president guilty on every single felony count.
Former President Donald Trump guilty as charged.
This is a victory for the United States of America, for the justice system.
Mixed reactions across the country tonight.
I believe that everybody who's been supporting him since he started running, they're still going to be behind him 100%.
But Trump says voters will have the final say later this year.
The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people.
159 days until the American people will head to the polls. But will former President Donald Trump's name appear on the ballot after that bombshell verdict? It's great to have you with us for Wave 31 News at 10. I'm Nicole Williams. We have a lot of moving parts tonight, so let me walk you through how we got here. A Manhattan grand jury handed down an indictment against Donald Trump in March of 2023. We learned what charges were in that indictment 1 month later. The document accused Trump of falsifying business records as part of a hush money scheme to pay off an adult film actress. Fast forward to April 15th of this year when the jury selection began. 7 weeks later, the 12-person jury deliberated for less than 10 hours before returning the verdict. Trump and his attorneys left the Manhattan criminal courthouse within an hour after the verdict was read, but not before he addressed the people standing outside, standing by his claims that he did nothing wrong.
It's a rigged trial, a disgrace. They wouldn't give us a venue change. We were at 5% or 6% in this district, in this area. This was a rigged, disgraceful trial.
Shortly after, he posted to his social media site, Truth Social, that he would hold the news conference outside Trump Tower tomorrow. It's slated to start at 10 a.m. Central Time. Following the verdict, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg spoke to reporters. Bragg thanked the jury, and despite criticism from Trump, he says he did his job.
I did my job. We did our job. Many voices out there. The only voice that matters is the voice of the jury, and the jury has spoken.
A spokesperson for the Biden administration commented on the verdict, saying, quote, in part, today's verdict does not change the fact that the American people face a simple reality. There's still only one way to keep Donald Trump out of the Oval Office, at the ballot box. And we're getting reaction from local North Alabama politicians on both sides of the aisle tonight. Wave 31 reporter Maddie McCaffrey joins us live now in studio with the latest on what they're saying tonight.
Yeah, that's right, Nicole. I spoke with chairman of the Alabama Republican Party, John Wall, and former Democratic Congressman Dr. Parker Griffith for District 5 tonight. And both are in agreement that the 34-count guilty verdict against a former president is something we've never seen happen in our country before. Wall says this was politically motivated, but former Congressman Dr. Griffith says this was the American court system working how it's supposed to.
I'm actually not surprised at all. Look, you had Democrat elected officials in New York City, the DA and the judge, who both literally campaigned on going after Donald Trump. There was a clear political motivation. They were clearly biased against Donald Trump. And so this is exactly what I expected to take place. I am hoping, I know the Donald Trump's team is planning to appeal this.
So I don't think people are surprised because former President Trump admitted that he was doing wrong. He admitted that he didn't have any respect for the law. And he acted that way all during the trial and on the footsteps of the courthouse.
I asked both GOP Chairman John Wall and former Congressman Dr. Griffith their thoughts on if this guilty verdict Thursday will impact the minds of voters.
I think it's going to harm him because I think there are a lot of independent voters out there who are not necessarily dedicated to one party or the other that are going to say we cannot present a man to the world who is a convicted felon.
I definitely think this is going to impact voters. And it's hard to tell right now whether this impacts voters positively or negatively towards Donald Trump. You know, we have seen over the last few months, in the last year, voters do not do not seem to be affected by these trials.
Most voters say they would still vote for former President Trump regardless of the verdict in this hush money trial. That's according to the results of a new Marist poll. 67% of registered voters say a guilty verdict would not change how they vote, and 76% say the same about a not guilty verdict. Just 7% of voters say a guilty verdict would make them less likely to vote for Trump in the presidential race. And of course, we'll continue to follow this unprecedented news and bring you the latest developments on air and online at WadeTV.com. I'm live in studio with coverage you can count on. Maddie McCaffrey, Wade 31 News.
Maddie, thanks. We're hearing from Alabama lawmakers on the jury's decision. Alabama U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville criticizing the verdict. On X, he says, quote, "It's a very dark day in American history. This trial was a political witch hunt from the start." Senator Tuberville's colleague, Senator Katie Britt, shared a similar opinion on X. She says, quote, "Americans won't tolerate a two-tiered system of justice, and the real verdict will come on November 5th. North Alabama Congressman Del Strong chimed in saying, quote, "I'm disheartened by the verdict. I strongly believe that these charges would not have been brought against Donald Trump had he not sought the office of president." Former North Alabama Congressman Mo Brooks is taking a different approach to the verdict. He posted on X calling for change in the Republican Party's nominee, saying, quote, "The GOP faces a choice. The USA's future is at stake. Keep Trump as the nominee and gamble the USA's future, or replace Trump with a good character nominee and beat the stew out of Biden." So what's next? A sentencing hearing for Trump is set for July 11th. The judge in this case could sentence the former president to probation, or he could hand down prison time. That includes a sentence of up to 4 years in prison. Trump can also still run for president in November. Experts say nothing in the Constitution bars a convicted criminal from running for the nation's highest office. As for if the former president can cast his own ballot, his right to vote depends on whether he's sentenced to prison and if he is finished serving that time by the time of the election. Florida state law bans felons from voting until they have completed the full terms of their sentence and applies to those without state convictions. Still, a New York law allows felons to regain their right to vote once they finish their incarceration. Wade 31 has compiled a list of reactions from multiple Alabama politicians after this verdict. You can view them all right now on our website, WadeTV.com, or by downloading the Wade 31 News app. It is coverage you can count on right at your fingertips.